What's up, FFU Fantasy Football Universe? I am SC Romero at the PPR Show on X, and I'm here to bring you a new series I'm bringing to the FFU called the Devi Diamonds, where we discuss some of the up and coming guys that have potential to make it in the NFL as well. Today's Devi Diamond is none other than Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, right after the intro.
Joe Campbell.
Man, that video gets me hyped. One, you see the dynasty Patrick Mahomes there. You see lots of talented athletes, and it's only growing. College football is a never-ending sport. It's phenomenal to see these athletes, and I'm excited to talk about none other than Shedeur Sanders today. Now, let's give you a little brief history on Shedeur before we get into the bread and butter of his strengths and weaknesses. First, he was a three-star prospect out of Trinity Christian High School out in Cedar Hill, Texas. Excuse me. And he really came on the scene at Jackson State. At Jackson State University, his first two seasons, he had 6,900 yards, 68.4 completion. He really did well with the team. Had 70 touchdowns to only 14 interceptions. Okay, but the struggle was he got sacked too many times. He got sacked a total of 58 times in those two seasons. It gets better. I guess it gets worse for Shedeur. So after his first two seasons, he ends up transferring to Colorado. Makes sense. He goes into the Pac-12. He wants to lead Colorado. I mean, Coach Prime, his dad, Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Prime Time, also became the head coach of Colorado, and he brought his son with him to say, hey, I want my son to lead the Buffalo to that next step. And to be honest, in the first 4 weeks, it looked like they were doing that. They were undefeated. They went 4-0 in those first 4 weeks. And then I guess you could say the competition got harder, but it was just a collapse. As the quarterback, you want to blame them, right? You want to say it was the quarterback's fault he couldn't do it. The defense wasn't doing great. And on top of that, Shedeur had no protection. Matter of fact, in the offseason, as soon as the transfer portal opened up, what did Coach Prime do? The very first thing was he went and revamped that entire offensive line. Legit, the whole offensive line is going to be completely different than what it was last year. And why I say that is because he had 52 total sacks just last season. Now, rewind a little bit. I just said he had 58 total sacks in the first two seasons at Jackson State. Last year alone, he had 52 total sacks. Ridiculous. You can't do anything as a quarterback when you're constantly getting pressure. Now, the way he handles the pressure it's good. It's mediocre. He's confident in the pocket. He knows how to extend the play, how to get out of that pocket, how to get out of that pressure. But his downfall is he doesn't want to throw the ball away. He holds that ball way too long. And you can say maybe he doesn't want to ruin his completion percentage. You can say he'd rather just, not try to force that interception, which I get. That makes sense. But at times, man, you got to throw the ball away. Like, why are you going to run back 10, 15 yards and take the sack? Just throw the ball away. Like, why not do that? And he would just hold it on way too long. Like, you would think that the football is his baby. Like, he just doesn't want to let it go, which is quite odd, But this season in Colorado, they're bringing up some new guys. They, like I mentioned, they got the offensive line just completely revamped. They brought in Vanderbilt's wide receiver Will Shepherd, who should be a solid weapon for the offense as well, to be opposite of Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, a great two-way player that is the big question. Is he going to play defensive back or is he going to play wide receiver? But that's another topic for another Devi Diamond down the road. But with Shedeur, the interesting thing was that in the first 5 weeks, he had 4 games over 300 passing yards. Great. That looked phenomenal. In the last 5 weeks, they made a transition to switch their offensive coordinator throughout the season, in the middle of the season, and they went with Pat Shurmur. When Pat Shurmur took over, that really devalued or made Shedeur not pass as much, or maybe just more incompletions. Like, it just didn't make sense because in the last 5 games, he only had 1 game of over 300 yards. It just wasn't moving the same it was in those first 4 weeks, So it became a huge question mark, red flag. Like, what are we doing here now? Now we're going into 2024. Again, new offensive line, new a wide receiver weapon for him. He has a couple new running backs as well. This is an opportunity for Shedeur to come out and actually show, look, are you the QB1? Now, rumors have came out that they said, he Coach Prime, I wouldn't say rumors, Coach Prime said this, he's going to be a top 4 pick. Now, to do that, is it possible? Sure. Do I think that? No. Is it possible? Yeah, because if he averages 356.2 yards like he did in those first few weeks to start the season, there's a chance that he throws for over 4,000 yards. And he also, if he keeps that 9-1 touchdown to interception ratio that he had last season, there's a chance that, yeah, he's going to be a top 5, if not top 4 pick in the NFL draft next year. But a lot of stuff needs to happen for him. Some of his strengths, he's a legacy prospect, of course. So again, son, of Deion Sanders, which is phenomenal. But the football's in his blood, but it's more than just that. He needs to have that IQ for the game, and he's a smart athlete. He doesn't make those costly or those those difficult throws. Like, he doesn't make simple mistakes as you see some quarterbacks do. So his IQ is there. Okay, he does have that ability to extend the play, as I mentioned. He knows how to stretch the field if he needs to wait for his wide receivers to get open. But sometimes they don't, and then he just holds the ball there as well. He maintains his composure when that pocket crumbles. He also has a quick release. So when he does lock in into his wide receivers, he gets the ball quickly and effectively to him. He knows how to get it in those tight spaces. He really thrives in the short and intermediate throws more so than his deep ball, which is okay, something where he could just dump it off and make it happen. And he's a natural leader. He in multiple scenarios, he did lead the team down, when they were down big to make a score. And then again, the defense just didn't do their part to make sure, hey, we're going to do our part in holding the offense down, the opposing offense, if you will. Okay. And he has the toughness that you want. As I mentioned, 52 total sacks last season. He got up after every single one and continued to thrive, continued to lead his team, which is what you want to see. So that toughness is there. But on the flip side, areas of improvement, again, as I mentioned, he holds the ball way too long. We definitely need to see him get it out more. And to be honest, when he extends the play, he doesn't use his feet as much as he should. Like, sometimes I saw it, he had 10 or 15 yards in front of him, but he rather just hold the ball and wait for his wide receiver to get open rather than extend the play and get the extra yardage, which is quite odd. Like, he just doesn't necessarily want to run. Like, he's not the dual threat quarterback as one may think that he might be. He can do that, but we don't actually see it during the games. He wants to throw it more so than run. I guess you could say he doesn't want to be the running back like we want to say Lamar Jackson is sometimes, right? So his arm strength too. He can make the throws. He can make the NFL throws. However, again, he thrives in those short and intermediate passes. And in those deep passes, he can either throw a perfect spiral or it's completely wobbly just all over the field. He's very inconsistent on those deep passes, which I want to see a little bit more precision when it comes to those. And then the ball security. He runs not like he wants to hold the ball. He runs like he's showcasing or modeling for the camera to make sure they get the perfect photo for him. It seems like when he's running, he's just firmly grasping the ball with his hand. He doesn't have it tucked under his shoulder or anything like that. He's just firmly grasping with the ball. That ball security is a big issue. 24 career fumbles, 5 alone last season. We need to see something better, man. You can't be doing that in the NFL. Running backs get benched because they fumble once. And you're telling me this guy had 5 last season? Like, bro, you got to be able to secure the ball, especially if you're getting eaten alive like you did last season in the backfield. You have to learn how to secure the ball, man. And that's a big part for him as well. Now, he is eligible to enter the draft next year, okay, in the 2025 consensus draft capital, at least what I'm seeing right now in mocks, and again from his dad, Coach Prime, think he's gonna be a top 10 pick. Coach Prime said top 4. He was my QB1 a lot of last season, really the whole last season, and then I really dove into the tape and watched it. It's not my QB1 anymore, and I really think there's a possibility he slides into that day 2 pick. I think the name alone is going to hold value. Don't get me wrong. People are going to see that and it's going to hold value. And they're going to be like, hey, it's there. So maybe in the first round. But if you go and watch the tape, I think there's other quarterbacks in this class that can actually do better than him at that next level right now. He's a very raw athlete. He's an athlete that he needs a lot of improvement. Personally, I would like to see him on the 49ers We know Brock Purdy's contract is coming up next season. Brock Purdy is good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's really done anything to deserve a contract extension. He hasn't really got to that top level quite yet. There's a lot of hype around him because he's Mr. Irrelevant, but his contract comes up in 2025. So I don't know if he's getting that contract extension. Why I say the 49ers would be a good fit is because they utilize those short and intermediate passes. They have CMC, they have Ike, they even have Debo or Kittle. They have guys that can be effective. They utilize their playmakers to get the ball to them quickly to make those big plays. And that's why I think the San Francisco 49ers would be a great fit for him. Now, that's all to say what will happen. I think Shedeur Sanders is more on the Malik Willis trajectory than a Jaden Daniels, if you will. What I mean by that is there's a lot of hype. Jaden Daniels lived up to that hype. He became a top 3 pick, top 2 pick in the NFL draft. Where Malik Willis, there's a lot of hype come draft time, but he ended up slipping to the day 2, which I think is going to be more of what Shedeur Sanders is moving forward. There's a lot of hype around him. He's QB of the nation right now. People love Shedeur Sanders. People love Colorado right now with what Coach Prime is doing. I'm a fan. I bought into the hype last season. As I mentioned, I had him as QB1. Dive further in the tape. He is no longer my QB1. Right now, he is my QB6 of the class. But man, I hope he gets it all together. I hope they figure it out because this offense could be electric with Shedeur there in the backfield. They gotta protect him. He needs to learn how to get the ball up quickly and not hold it too long. Throw it away, man. Your completion percentage is it's just a number. Throw it away, get it to your wide receivers, and then you can start building up, and you're not going to be getting hit as much as you did. But that's all I have on Shedeur Sanders here today. This is the new series of the FFU called The Devy Diamonds. I am your host, SC Romero. Follow me on X at the PPR Show. Follow my man, Aaron St. Dennis at FF Mad Scientist. Follow my man, Jesse Mueller at JMueller05. Follow my man, Jeremy Sobin at FF_Rebel. This is the PPR Show. I am of the FFU. Until next time, peace.